Hello, my name is Peter Schaknat. I am the Managing Director of Schaknat Electronic GmbH, and we are optimizing a Scania S650. Should I go over the details in the truck? This is the Scania S650 DC16 V8 engine, a 16.4 liter XPI engine with 3,300 Newton meters of input torque. We optimize a great many of these trucks. This is a very special truck. It's from one of my best customers, the boss himself. That's why today we want to put in some extra effort. We'll be flashing everything again using the app. The customer will also get the app again with both eco and power optimization. So as for the procedure, we'll do an initial measurement again, then optimize it, and finally do a final measurement. And as I said, let's see what surprises await us. Here are a few more details. Today we're measuring in four-wheel drive again. This is a beautiful vehicle with a really nice paint job. We don't get the unicorn here very often either. So as you can see here, the frame cover, we've removed the rear frame cover so we can secure everything properly again. We've loosened it at the back again. As usual, we've pulled it into the rollers at the back from below with a 5-ton hydraulic cylinder so that it tracks cleanly in four-wheel drive again, runs smoothly and doesn't slip off the test bench. We've already lifted the VMAX now. It has a very long rear axle so that we can measure again in 11th gear, in direct gear. As I said, we'll have to see. It might even be possible with this long rear axle, 160 kilometers per hour might actually be too little, because we once tested it with a truck with a really long axle and they actually go almost 200 kilometers per hour. That's pretty crazy, but that was in 12th gear. Then in 12th gear, we're measuring in direct gear, 11th gear. Everything is unhooked. So I'd say let's get started. Let's do the initial measurement and see what results we get. With the 650, it's really important to measure it in four-wheel drive, in all-wheel drive. So we're engaging the front axle again right now, so I really actually have a true road simulation. I'm really curious to see what the outcome will be. Normally, they always have pretty much the standard power output. The customer has a very up-to-date software version. He just got the update from Scania. It's always interesting to see what happens between the different update versions, from the delivery software versions to the very latest ones. So, as I said, let's get started. The initial measurement, we're doing the initial measurement now. It's the same as always. I'm going to slowly warm up the engine now, or actually, we already let it run a bit earlier. I'm turning off the traction control here, as well as all the distance assistance. I'm also warming up the tires a bit now, which I already started doing earlier. So this is done manually here. As we said, we are driving in 11th gear, so now we're slowly accelerating, shifting through the gears separately. Then you'll notice again the front axle is spinning along. You can really tell with the next generation models just how incredibly smoothly and effortlessly they run on the test bench, especially when it comes to the chassis. I've worked with a lot of older machine models where you have to take careful measurements and the whole cab shakes. But you can tell that this thing runs like it's on rails. You can already see it up here at the front. My screen is finally ready. Now we can take measurements up front using the keyboard. That's easier, then you can see live what's happening. So we're in 11th gear. I've now set the axle here to 1000 revolutions, so it has a rear axle ratio. I now have 1000 revolutions. You can see 1000 up front as well, so it's easy to follow along. 65 kilometers per hour. That's correct too. And let's let the tires warm up a bit more. And I've also turned on the fan up front so we get fresh air, so that our measurements aren't distorted. Now we'll do 3 initial measurements again, so that we can rule out test bench tolerances. You can always take the best average values, but really, I have to say, the test bench manufacturer DimSport, if you do 3 measurements in a row and disengage too late or too early, it still measures incredibly accurately. I'm always amazed myself at how consistent the measurements are one after the other. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and start the measurement. I'm going to brake it again at around 800 revolutions per minute. I've now completed the range from 800 up to 2,200 revolutions. You'll see in a moment that we're reaching a pretty high speed. Now I'm applying the brake. Now you can clearly hear the turbo pressure gradually building up as the process continues. Then we'll start the measurement. Now I'm revving it up from the bottom all the way to the top. Up to 2,200 revolutions per minute. Then I release the brake and shift to neutral. That's also the good thing. When I measure the RPM from bottom to top in one go. Now I have to make sure I don't miss the point. $2,100, so now you can see all the way to the final RPM. Now I'm letting it coast down. By letting it coast, I'm measuring the power loss again. We should see that in a moment. The measurement is now finished. Now I'll go ahead and turn off the fan, then you can hear it better. You can see it again from the torque at the front. So it's supposed to have 650 horsepower. It has 640 horsepower now on the first measurement. 3,300 original. It actually has 4,433 horsepower, so even a bit more. As I said, 3% breast tolerance. That's why we're doing 2 more input measurements. If the average values are all around the range, then it is also the case that the truck already has 100 Newton meters more. 10. HP peak power too little, whereby the peak power is measured at 1800 to 1900 around the torque. This is totally uninteresting. It is important that it has torque at the bottom. That's what's important to us. Now we're going to flash it with the app. The customer will get his 2 versions again. The boss is the customer. For him, it's more about fuel consumption. He's a steady driver already in his later years. He wants to save fuel and focus more on comfort. That's why we're flashing it now with the app. We optimize for eco and set the transmission accordingly. Then we'll see what the initial measurement shows. Now we're flashing again with our new Schaknat flash app. As I said, again with the dongle and with the iPhone or iPad, whichever you prefer. For the Scania S650 next generation, we've plugged it into the OBD port down here again. You can see it here. It's written right here as well. OBD onboard diagnostics. Then we plug it in here again. Then I open the app again, go back, select the Scania and connect my dongle via Bluetooth. The upper link goes back. We go back up here to Schaknat. The ignition is on, it tells you. Now it automatically recognizes the vehicle slider. Then I proceed. Do I enter the customer's license plate? Depending on this, we can also see it online in the databases. Now you can see here, because we're in the app, this is something we've now introduced for everyone. We always have 2 options. So one is engine control unit and the other is transmission. Error codes, the trigger is still grayed out. As I said, there will be a big update next week because we're currently working on error code assignment. Now we go here and select engine control unit. Here you see factory settings, eco optimization, power optimization. Then we go here and select flash eco optimization. So now it's already starting to program. This is where it's important, again, as you can see, I get a lot of notifications, a lot of messages. If something happens, don't answer the phone, don't walk away from the vehicle so that it doesn't lose the connection, the Bluetooth connection. If it does happen, it's not a big deal. We have a boot mode, a recovery mode built in. So, as I said, you really can't brick the thing. But as I said, once we've flashed over 1,000 trucks, we'll know more. But so far, we've programmed almost 400 units. And up to now, it's really gone without any problems. Now it's already at 77%, 80%. You can see it's going pretty fast. We've always measured the eco optimization at an average of 750 horsepower. Now I'm curious to see what will come out with the new software version, because it hasn't even been measured on the test bench yet, since it's only 3 weeks old, this new update. So let's see what results we get. As you saw, he flashed it, the control unit was recognized again. So now we'll go back 1 step. Then I'll go back to the transmission control unit here and select optimize transmission. You heard it, he already programmed it again. and done. Alright, so basically we can already do the baseline measurement again. Same principle again, we'll rev from bottom to top and do it. Again, 3 baseline measurements. Let's see what surprises us and what it has now in eco optimization. There we already have 102 kilometers per hour, visible when accelerating out. It's still in 11th gear. That's crazy, I think. If they have such long rear axles, we're at 130 kilometers per hour, almost 140. All right, then we disengage the clutch. You can see we could even shift up another gear. So like I said, with really long rear axles, I don't want to try it at the speed limit marker because that's a dangerous thing, but they've already tested 180 here. If you really have a long rear axle, it'll actually go into 12th gear and reach 200. That's just insane in terms of rear axle ratio. You can already see the torque curve and the power curve up here. You can see down low, we've now nailed 3,773 Newton meters. That's an increase of just under 300 Newton meters. You can see the curve holds for us for quite a long time. The reason for that is simply that I don't want to generate too much torque at low revs so that nothing breaks, so that any driver can handle it, and so that torque is available at any engine speed everywhere. You can see you get the torque much earlier and for a longer period. With this torque curve, you can also shift up at 1,200 to 1,300 revolutions per minute, which is the engine speed. Always shift up. That way, you're also running in the efficient range. I tell my customers and drivers, just try it out, test it, because every revolution needs a fill, and low revs mean less fuel is needed. So go ahead and test it. Try shifting up earlier, see what the truck can do. Of course, if I'm carrying 60 tons and have really heavy loads, then I need a certain number of revs so that the water pump, oil pump, and lubrication all cool and lubricate properly. In that case, I'm against driving at too low revs, but I'd say normally with 40 tons and a 650, if it can handle it, you can drive at 900 or 1000 revs at the bottom end. Just drive around like that. As I said, you can see it, 816 horsepower output. It's still adapting a bit. That's already very good. I'd say we might even tone it down a notch at the top end. Because my customer, I've known him for a long time, beta. He's also a beta like me. As I said, he doesn't drive in the higher rev ranges. I said for him it's mainly about fuel consumption. I'd say if we tone it down a bit now, and it's somewhere around 780 horsepower, that's more than enough for him. What matters to him is the torque at the lower end. As I said, we also optimized the shifting for comfort, so that the truck runs nice and smoothly with elastic and harmonious performance. Good, great. As I said, I'll adjust that now, make some changes. Later we'll do the baseline measurement again. But as you can see for yourselves with the app, that was already the eco optimization. The performance variant pushes things even further up. That's always included with us. In the app, the customer can then choose for themselves. But I'm still always a fan of the eco version, simply because, as you know, diesel prices are extremely high. What's important is that the cars are just fun to drive right now. To drive the performance factor, the fun factor, of course, customers can always decide for themselves. But what I'm noticing with my customers right now, since we're doing a lot at the moment, is that it's all about fuel consumption for them. Perfect. Then I'll go ahead and do the other measurements. We'll finish everything up, and then we'll see each other outside again. As I said, we've now done the baseline measurement, but I spoke with the customer again. He still wants to keep the eco optimization with these 816 horsepower and 3,727 Newton meters. I've known Better for a very long time. He's a very good customer of mine. We also get along well, so it was an honor for me again today to work on his truck. That's why I have another present for him. We've also had new stickers made now, the plotted kind. I'll stick it on right away. Hopefully nice and straight, so it looks cool. Very nice, very nice. Oh, very nice. So now it looks really cool. Everyone can see it right away. He can enjoy it in the morning when he gets into his Schaknat electronically optimized vehicle. As I said, I also have a Hugo Boss air freshener for him here. I'll put that in his car as well now, so it smells good too, so that the scent will remind him of it as well. As I said, it was really fun again today. You can see it for yourselves. That was the boss's car just now, but we've already optimized a lot of things for this customer. Of course, the customer has a bit of everything, all kinds of brands. He's got everything you can imagine. So, as I mentioned before, it's always primarily about fuel consumption. That's why I was really pleased that he came in person today. Glad you tuned in. I also wanted to quickly thank you all again for the last video. The second to last video, the one with 1004 horsepower, that it got such a great response. We'll link the video again, since it was apparently really well received. If you're interested in this topic or would like a little more detail about our truck performance testing standard, feel free to check out our website at www.schaknat.de. You can also give us a call. We're happy to advise you personally, or send us an email or a message on WhatsApp. As I said, it was a lot of fun again. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.